Today we're going to work on making a banner for a training, and this one we're going to do for Adobe Spark. So you can see this will be our finished product right here. It's a little bit different dimensions just because we're going to use it in a banner for a website as well as an email we send out. So why don't we get started? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a new document. And this one's, I'm going to do this one for the web, and I'm going to change the width to 900 by 300, just so we get the dimensions that we kind of like. Noticing, I'm going to zoom in just a bit here, just by pinching on my trackpad. First thing I'm going to do is put that background layer in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into File and Place Embedded. So the difference between Place Embedded and Place Linked is if you want the resulting file to be in there and not change, or the linked would be if you have a file that maybe you're going to change in Illustrator or another Adobe product, and as that change it will automatically update in here. So for this purpose we're just going to paste an embedded, and I'm going to choose this background that I found that I thought was kind of neat. Notice it's not really the right size, so I'm going to kind of move it, grab one of the corners so it moves proportionally, pull it down to the sides match, and then I really like this kind of DNA looking thing in the middle, so going to kind of stick that kind of as a highlight. I'm going to press enter, and now you see we've got that nice background there. So the next thing I want to put in is that Spark logo. So again, I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded, grab that Spark logo, and you can see this one's a little bit too big. So I'm going to again grab the corner, and this time I'm going to hold down my Option key. It'll proportionally go for, I let go too quick, guys. I apologize. It'll go proportionally, but through the center. Okay, that looks good. Again, hit enter, so you can see the blue lines go away, so it's now placed. The next thing I want is to put my text in here, so I'm just going to draw a text box about like that big. And notice it puts in some lorem ipsum text, to some dummy text. I've got it on my clipboard, so I'm just going to paste that text in and resize my box here just a little bit so I get a nice kind of clean 3 lines. There we go. And I would like these two to be centered, the Spark logo and the text, just so it looks nice. So I'm just going to move my text, and notice I get these guidelines. It's a wonderful part of this. You see that guideline, that pink one that goes through the middle. That means I've got them nice and lined up. And I want that text white. So there's multiple ways to do this, but I also want to drop shadow on this text. So I'm going to come over to the text line right here on this Layers panel. I'm going to double click right here to open up the effects, go all the way down to drop shadow, and then also color overlay. So it's white with a color overlay. You can see you could choose a different color if you wanted. Mine was just already set on white. Same thing with drop shadow. You can change some effects of that, and there we go. So now notice it is kind of hard to read on the background there. So I'm going to drop in a rectangle to help with the contrast. So I'm going to just grab my rectangle tool here and draw a rectangle through the text. I kind of want the logo to overlap it. So there we go. I'm going to change the color right here in my properties panel. Change that to maybe like a gray color. And the problem is I kind of want that to be behind the text. So this is an important part in layers. I'm going to take that rectangle right here and put it behind the text and behind the Adobe Spark logo, and you can see right there it is. Now it'd be really nice if I could still see that great graphic behind it. So I'm going to change this opacity right here, which changes the just that rectangle there, so it'll highlight the text, but still keep the rectangle there so we can kind of see through it. And next I need to add in, doesn't look like my drop shadow's working. What's going on? Change my opacity. The drop shadow looks like it was set to 0, so it's kind of hard to see. So now as we bring that up, you can kind of makes it pop a little bit more. Next we need to add that text down below. So I'm again just going to take a text box, draw it right here, puts in that fake text. I'm just going to put in my date, March 15th, 2019, hit the return key, put in the time for the training. And you notice it needs a new color. So I mentioned there's multiple ways to change the color. So we're going to change the color on this text. Again, just with the text tool highlighted, I'm going to select all of that. And then up here, we'll change that to white. And then you'll notice it's got that nice text. Now here's a quick little trick. I'm going to grab this text box, holding down my mouse, and hold down the Command, Option, Shift keys. And notice as I pull, it makes an exact copy of what I had there. So I'm actually going to use this a couple of times because I also need to put this over here for my contact info. So I'm going to add this here. I'm just going to change the text here to the location. And then over here, I'm just going to change this to questions, add in my email. Notice it kind of ran over a little bit. So with this dotted kind of marching ant type line, that's the text tool selected. I can drag that out without affecting the ratio. The last thing I had here was a little line separator. Just for a kind of a stylistic effect, I'm going to justify that to the right. And then I'm going to draw just a quick little box here. Nice kind of real thin line. I'm going to change that again in my properties panel to white. And then as I grab that to move it, you'll see, again, those pink lines pop up right there, which tells you you're right in the middle. And there we go. There's our graphic. Let's see how that compares to our original. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. All right, so again, we started a new document, brought in our elements, made sure we layered them appropriately. We added effects to the text. And then we used a neat little shortcut keystroke, Option, Command, Shift, to duplicate text to save us time and maintain formatting of that text. I hope you learned something and that you could use this. Thanks.